This is gonna be a difficult one. Greetings and salutations, my friend. You know, sometimes there's a need to talk about very serious stuff on this channel. I mean, a lot of the time I really enjoy talking about philosophy and what's going on in the world and all of that, and honestly I prefer making that sort of content than the types of content that focuses on me and my journey through the transition and so on, because a lot of the time it is something I wish to move on from, abandon that, but there are those moments that remind you, you can't really escape from that. Like, it's always right behind you in every single way possible. Uh, you know, I haven't been feeling well lately, and I'm not just talking about my mental health, I'm talking about the purely somatic side of it. So, I've been getting these really, really intense pains in my colon, like cramps, and it's just really, really bad. Sometimes to the point where I have to scream. And last month it was much worse. The first few days, the beginning of July, was just pure nightmare. I couldn't cough or sneeze or stand up or sit down without getting like intense pain, like cramps in the lower abdomen, like on the left side of my lower abdomen. Really, really horrible pain. And so, I have an appointment with my doctor, with my GP next week actually. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because I really want to talk about the effects of the psychological trauma associated with the surgery, the trans bottom surgery, penile inversion, all of that. And when you have this type of trauma, you really want to stay away from your doctor's office, you really want to stay away from any clinics or hospitals or anything that reminds you of places like that. And, I think that's just your natural instinct that protects you, that wishes to protect you, because it associated with harm. Like, my brain just associates those places with harm that has been inflicted upon me, that I'm also responsible for because it was my choice to get that surgery. A lot of people will say, stop blaming others, stop blaming those surgeons, stop blaming this and this and that. And I'm like, I was never really pointing fingers at people like, oh, you're the reason this happened to me, you're the reason that happened to me. No, I'm the architect of my own fate in this life, and I admit that. I always did. That's why I really, really don't get where people get these things from. I think there's a genuine prejudice against detransitioners, that we are all just blaming others for a situation, or that we all think that just because it did not work out for us, that every other trans people is just like that. Bunch of bullshit, let me tell you. But anyway, what I want you to know is that just calling in, or I didn't even call, I just made an appointment through the internet, through an application. So I'll be seeing my doctor next week, and so I've been super anxious because of that, and when you're anxious, you're also experiencing a lot of somatic symptoms associated with anxiety, and some of those are affecting your abdomen, your gastrointestinal system, which actually makes your situation worse. Now, what the hell is wrong with me? I don't know. Could be IBS, right? I could be developing IBS, could be some inflammation, could be colon cancer, right? And once I start thinking about it, I can convince myself, like 100%, that I have a colon cancer, right? And I will spend hours a day looking up the symptoms, reading about it, and that just fuels up my panic, it fuels up my anxiety, and I know it's not good for you. It's not good for you to be looking up the symptoms and diseases on Google, right? You should go to your doctor. But what I want you to understand is that when you have this sort of psychological trauma associated with the medicine and hospitals and surgeries and all of that, well, you're really fighting an internal battle here with two sides of you who wish to protect you, right? Like, there's this side of you that wishes to protect you because it thinks, you know, there's something really wrong with my body right now. I need to get it checked as soon as possible. And there's this other side of you that is just so messed up from your past experiences that tells you if you go to that place, you will be harmed. So don't go there, and tries to stop you at all cost. And there's just this never-ending battle there. Whenever I have to go to see a doctor, I go to a clinic or hospital, anything like that. Which is an absolute fucking nightmare. And so I managed to postpone it for like a month. Because it started at the beginning of July, which was last month. It's been going on for over a month. And I just made the appointment very recently. Which is crazy, because that's not my advice to anyone, really. If you have some serious issue, if your body, something going on, go see your doctor right away. Don't be like me, don't be stupid, right? I'm a very, very stupid person. You know, I'm feeling a bit like a hypocrite right now, you know, because I have talked a lot about not spreading panic about things that are happening in the world of politics and so on, to just analyze things carefully, just from every single angle, see what is actually going on, instead of jumping into conclusion, instead of panicking about every little thing, which I think that both the left and the right is doing. But when it comes to my health and my body, it's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to imagine the worst case scenario, and I will be just tunnel vision focused on that worst case scenario, and I don't see anything else there, just the worst case scenario. So if I convince myself I have colon cancer, I'm just 100% sure that I have colon cancer. What is it exactly about places like a doctor's office or clinics or hospitals that get this reaction out of me? You know, it just, there are a couple of things, okay? A couple of things. It's the sight, just, you know, what you're seeing there. It brings back memories, you know, it just, well, I had my surgery almost over 10 years ago. It's been over 10 years. And it just feels like it's happening in this very moment whenever I'm at places like that. So I hate going to those places. And yeah, it's not just the site, the place itself. It's the doctors, the nurses, you know, the way they're dressed. It's something about the mix of colors in those places, like a mix of white, blue, and green. I just hate anything that has a mix of those three colors. And a lot of hospitals and clinics and all that has this combination of colors. And those are exactly the colors I remembered when I was heading for my surgery. You know, like, one thing that really, really sticks with me is the colors. And then there's the smell. The fucking smell, man. You know what I'm talking about, right? So once you're there, it's like it takes you to this dark, dark place that you just don't want to be at, you know, like at all. Just don't want to go there. But when it's necessary, you just really have to force yourself to do that. And I mean, just making the appointment is quite an achievement for me. But in the past, I have actually made appointment with my doctor and didn't go. Or to have some tests done, I made an appointment and I didn't go because in the morning I would wake up, I think, okay, gotta be there in 2 hours, 3 hours, and I don't go because I just can't find it within me to go. Sometimes I would even step out the door, contemplate it, and a voice in my head says, don't go there. And I'm not talking about actual voices, I'm not schizophrenic, I'm not hearing voices, I'm talking about my own internal voice here, just so it's clear, because, you know, some people would spread information like, Alex is hearing voices, he has gone completely insane now. But yeah, that's just one thing, but this type of trauma manifests itself in many other ways as well. It's not confined to just those medical situations. But before I talk about that, let me tell you how the psychological pain and trauma compares itself to the physical pain and physical trauma after surgery. If you've been on this channel for a while now, you know exactly what my story is, right? You know my journey through post-op complications and bleeding and pains and all of that I have been experiencing. That is no secret to you. If not, you will find a link to that video at the end screen of this video, so you can look that up. Because, you know, previously I talked about the physical trauma after surgery, I have talked about the sexual function after the surgery, but I don't think I ever actually talked about the psychological side of it, you know, like what's going on here. And the fact that it took me so long to touch on this subject on this channel, that's not a coincidence, because I think that's the thing that is hardest to talk about, and I really wasn't ready for it until now. Because, you know, physical pain is one thing. You get used to it, you know, you get used to it that it hurts every time you go to the toilet. You get used to it that it just hurts occasionally. You get used to the fact that you have occasional bleedings. You get used to the fact that you can't run without experiencing pain or discomfort, or can't lift heavy things without experiencing the pain. But yeah, you know, you get used to it, you keep on living on. But yeah, physical pain is one thing, but the mental side of it, the mental health, the psychological trauma, oh man. If I had to rate which one is worst, I'd say the psychological trauma is much, much worse than all the physical pain I have experienced. There's no comparison. You know, sometimes I don't even have to be at places associated with medicine or surgery to experience this sort of feeling like I'm back there, like it is happening right here and right now. Sometimes it can happen while I'm editing the videos for this channel. It can happen while I'm writing something. It can happen when I'm playing video games. It can happen when I'm watching something. It can happen when I'm playing guitar. It can happen when I'm taking a walk in the forest. It can happen at any time, really. It doesn't happen all the time, of course, but once it happens, you're just unable to do anything for the rest of the day, because you're just that defeated at that point. And then there's nightmares, you know, just the amount of times, I don't think there's been a single month where I haven't had at least 2 or 3 of those dreams, nightmares really, where I'm back in Thailand, where I had my surgery, and I'm at this clinic, and you know, there's a corridor, a really, really long corridor. Oh, fuck. Sorry. It's just, it's hard to swallow saliva sometimes. You know, like, I need a break. And final thing that I have done on a couple of occasions because of the trauma response to things when that happens, and oh god, that is something I am just so embarrassed about, and that is screaming in public. And if you've been around on this channel, I bet this is not something you would ever associate me with, like screaming in public. You know, just imagine these crazy lip-tards screaming in public. Having a meltdown, all of that. No, well, I do scream in public, actually. And you know, we're not talking about the type of meltdown screaming you might be imagining. Oh no, we're talking like a very deep, beastly growl that you just get out of your body. It may sound like very, very intense anger to some people, like some war cry, but actually that isn't even my intention. A lot of the time this is just how I respond to trauma. This is how I respond to a lot of negative things in my life. I growl like that. And I have embarrassed myself in public because of that a couple of times. And people sometimes interpret it as I'm about to do something violent, I'm about to harm or hurt someone. And you know, it doesn't help that society also a lot of the time associates men showing emotions with violence, right? Like society used to this idea that men show their emotions through violence, which I don't really think is correct, but because society tends to think that, and they see something like that coming from a male, they might be thinking, oh, I'm about to hurt someone, I'm about to do something really stupid. And no, I never do that. I have never harmed anyone in my life, except for, well, flies, maybe. I don't know if it's autistic in its nature, perhaps. Well, I am on the spectrum, so it definitely could be something autistic, but this is just how I react to that. And oh, I really hope it will never happen in public again. But yeah, you never know with me. It's just a walking mess sometimes. And, you know, if you're a trans person, or you're having some degree of gender dysphoria, and you are considering getting this surgery, really try to think long term. Not just about the physical effects, you know, because it falls into like many different categories here, right? Well, will it be functional? Will it be aesthetically pleasing? Or will you have any physical complication? Will you experience mental trauma from that? Four things to consider, and honestly, I don't think medicine is that advanced to give you proper results, and you might actually regret the surgery if you get it. And seriously, think it through, do not rush. I know what it is like to want to rush, to think like, oh, I need to get this surgery as quickly as possible, you know, and for some it might be this intense dysphoria driving you to get that surgery. For me, it was this idea that I have to fit in as a woman as quickly as possible, so I have to get rid of everything that makes me male. which is really, really stupid actually. But I was just thinking in such a binary way back then, you know, like I just have to make absolute 100% transition just to fit in as a woman because I wouldn't really fit in as a guy, right? That's how I used to think, which is stupid, but you know, people grow. People grow, people change, people learn from their experiences. I just want you to have a realistic look at what transition actually is and what it entails, because some people, they really romanticize those surgeries and those hormones and transition instead of looking out for what it actually is and accepting it for what it is. Because if you're living in reality, you are more likely to make good decisions in life than if you're living in fantasy, right? Anyway, I will keep you posted about my health if there's any change, because it really has me worried. I'll be honest with you. I'm worried practically every single day right now. Anyway, I hope you have a good day, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao.